Our story starts in New Orleans in 2006. Emma was living in an apartment with her husband, Ernest Smith. They had gotten married in 1990, but things weren't going great between them. After Hurricane Katrina hit, they went to Texas for safety. Emma came back to New Orleans as soon as she could, but Ernest stayed in Texas, hoping for better opportunities. While Ernest was away, Emma started a secret romance with James Raine. James was actually a friend of Ernest's. They had served together in the National Guard in Iraq. At first, Ernest had no idea what was going on, but after a while, he started to suspect something was up between James and Emma. He told James to stay away from his wife, and they even got into some shouting matches, but Ernest decided he wanted to fight for his marriage. Ernest, who drove trucks and was also a minister, got offered a job as the full-time pastor of a big church in Atlanta. He was so happy about this. He thought maybe this new start would help fix things with Emma. So he went back to New Orleans to help Emma pack up their stuff for the move. But on April 12, 2006, something terrible happened. It was just before 11:30 at night when people in their neighborhood heard gunshots. Ernest, who was 38 years old, had just gotten home from a motorcycle ride with his friend, Ronald Mason. As he was going into his apartment, someone shot him twice in the chest from very close. Even though he was badly hurt, Ernest managed to stumble through the front door. The last thing he said to Emma was, "Honey, I've been shot." Emma told the police she had been asleep when it happened. She said the sound of the gunshot woke her up. She called 911 at 11:32 p.m. When the police and ambulance got there, Ernest was already dead. The police looked all over the crime scene for clues, but whoever shot Ernest had disappeared into the night. All they found were some empty bullet casings from a 9mm gun. Even though this all seemed very suspicious, the police couldn't solve the case. For 5 whole years, nothing happened. As the police continued to look into Ernest's death, they started to learn some worrying things. Friends and family told them about Emma's affair with James when she was still married to Ernest. They also found out that Emma had been slowly increasing the amount of life insurance on Ernest over the years. In 1997, it was $100,000, but by November 2005, just a few months before Ernest was killed, it had gone up to $800,000. Emma really wanted all that insurance money. When she found out that Ernest's real daughter, Queen Jefferson, was supposed to get some of the money, Emma had her own daughter, Keisha Judge, fake some papers. They used Jefferson's name to make it look like Emma should get all the money instead. As soon as Emma got the life insurance money, she and James moved to Poplarville, Mississippi, where James was from. They built a big, fancy house that was 4,000 square feet. Emma even named the road it was on Emma's Lane. On October 21st, 2011, James Raine was found dead in his bed at the home he shared with Emma in Poplarville, Mississippi. He had been shot multiple times in the forehead, chin, head, and neck. The discovery was made by James's mother, who had been asked by Emma to check on him because Emma was out of town and couldn't reach him. The circumstances of James's death were suspicious. There were signs of forced entry into the home, but strangely, the security cameras had been turned off the day before the murder. This detail raised eyebrows among investigators. Shortly after James's death, another shocking event occurred. The house that Emma and James had built together, a luxurious 4,000 square foot mansion on a road Emma had named Emma's Lane, burned down. Investigators determined that the fire was arson, deliberately set by someone. Despite their efforts, the police couldn't identify any suspects in the arson case. Emma, now twice widowed, was left to deal with the aftermath. She handled the paperwork and, importantly, collected the home insurance money. This series of events, James's murder, the mysteriously disabled security cameras, and the subsequent arson, added to the growing suspicions about Emma's involvement in her husband's deaths. Following the news of James Raine's murder, Alfred Everett, the foster brother, came forward with a startling account. He revealed to his relatives, his uncle Henry Fowler, and brother Enoch Raine, among others, that in 2006, Emma and James had hired him to assassinate Ernest Smith. Everett described the night of Ernest's murder in detail. He said he waited outside Ernest and Emma's apartment for over an hour. He watched Ernest talk with his friend Ronald Mason for about 20 minutes. When Mason left, Everett saw his chance. He went up to Ernest and shot him twice in the chest with a 9mm gun. Then he ran away and threw the gun into Lake Pontchartrain. Everett said Emma and James had promised him between $8,000 and $10,000 for killing Ernest, but they only gave him 2 old beat-up cars as payment. After James was killed, Everett was scared that Emma might try to kill him too. As the police dug deeper, they found out Emma had a history of suspicious marriages and deaths. The Mississippi police, led by Lieutenant Brad Garrett, saw that Ernest's and James's deaths were very similar. Both men were shot with a 9mm gun, and both had big life insurance policies that would pay Emma if they died. Leroy Evans, Emma's first husband, was also revealed to them. He had died in a strange way years earlier. Evans had been paralyzed in a hit-and-run accident. In 1994, he choked to death after his feeding tube was mysteriously taken out. Even though it seemed suspicious, the judge said Evans's death was an accident, and Emma got some life insurance money. She was never charged for his death, and the judge wouldn't let this information be used in her trial for Ernest's murder. Many police officers and family members of the dead men believe that Emma had a sinister plan. They think she married the men for their life insurance policies and then had them killed so she could get the money. They don't think it's just a coincidence that Ernest Smith, James Raine, and Leroy Evans all died in strange ways. But at least one person believed Emma was innocent, her 4th husband. A few months after James died, Emma moved to Grain Valley, Missouri. In December 2012, just 6 months after they met, she married 50-year-old John W. Golston. Even after Emma was arrested in 2013, Golston insisted that his new wife was being set up by corrupt police in Louisiana who just wanted to convict someone. Some people see Golston as a victim too. He spent a lot of money trying to defend Emma in court. People who know Emma think Golston fell for her charm, like a fly caught in a spider's web. He lost a lot of money paying for her lawyers, but at least he didn't lose his life. Is Emma Smith Raine Golston a serial killer? Technically, no. To be called a serial killer, someone has to have killed at least 2 people on different occasions. Emma has only been convicted of 1 murder, so she doesn't fit the official definition. There are plenty of people who kill a spouse for money and never do it again. There are also plenty of people who hire someone to kill someone else just once, but it's pretty rare for someone to have 3 spouses die under suspicious circumstances and end up richer each time. Now, let's talk about what happened to the people involved in this case. On December 4th, 2014, Alfred Terry Everett went on trial. After 3 days, the jury found him guilty. He was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. In August 2016, it was Emma's turn to face trial for Ernest's murder. She was found guilty of second-degree murder. 2 months later, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In 2018, when Emma tried to appeal her conviction, the court said no. That same year, James Raine's family tried to stop Emma from getting any money from his life insurance, but the judge dismissed their case, saying there wasn't enough proof that Emma was responsible for James's death. The police are still investigating his murder, but they haven't solved it yet. Here's an interesting twist. Even though Emma won that case about James's life insurance, she'll never see a penny of that money. She's now living in the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women in St. Gabriel, Louisiana. Because of her previous convictions for bankruptcy fraud and tax fraud, she owed $94,107 in taxes. Any money from Emma's life insurance will go to the U.S. government instead. For someone who seemed to care so much about money, this might be the worst punishment of all. Let's go back and look at some of the details of what happened on the night Ernest Smith was killed. Ronald Mason, who was Ernest's good friend, said he and Ernest both liked motorcycles. Mason called Ernest on April 12, 2006, asking if he would want to go to bike night. After bike night, Mason took Ernest home in his car. They talked for about 15 to 20 minutes before Mason left around 11:15 p.m. Mason went to pick up his wife from the trailer where they were staying. Emma called him when he arrived and said that Ernest had been shot. Mason raced to Ernest's flat with his spouse. The coroner and police were already there when they arrived. Mason told police that he had just dropped Ernest off. He asked a police officer if he could talk to Ernest, even though Ernest was already dead. The officer said Mason needed to talk to Emma for permission. Emma said no, he couldn't see Ernest. Mason also said that when he got to the scene, Emma didn't have any blood on her, but when he went into the apartment, he saw a lot of blood. He went into the bedroom and noticed that the bed was made. Mason added that Emma called him about the shooting using Ernest's phone, first calling him before calling 911. Later, Mason got another call from Emma. She told him that she and Ernest had been having marriage problems and that she was having an affair. Emma said that she had been working for the man who owned their apartment complex, and they had started a relationship. After Mason got off the phone with Emma, he called the police and told them about this conversation. Sergeant Randy Gray Gant was the police officer who answered Emma's 911 call on April 12, 2006, around 11:30 p.m. When Sergeant Gant got there, Ernest was already dead. They found his body on the steps going into the apartment. The police found bullet casings near the scene. Officer Kenneth Leary, who works with guns for the police, looked at the casings and the bullet they found. He claimed the cartridges were fired from the same 9mm gun. The bullet fit 9mm rounds as well. Dr. Richard Tracy, who works for the coroner's office, did an autopsy on Ernest. He said Ernest had been shot twice in the chest, and either wound would have killed him. Detective Decinda Barnes started looking into this case again in March 2012 when she was assigned to work on old, unsolved cases. On March 7, 2012, Emma Raine and William Fowler came to talk to her about Ernest Smith's murder from April 12, 2006. They told her that their brothers, James Raine and Alfred Everett, had killed Ernest Smith. They gave her details that matched what the police already knew. Emma Raine and William Fowler said they got this information from Everett himself. Everett had informed them that Ernest Smith was having a conversation with someone before entering his home. Therefore, he needed to wait behind a building. After that person left, Everett shot Ernest Smith. Detective Barnes checked the original police report, the coroner's report, and the ballistics report, and looked at photos from the crime scene. Everything matched what Emma Raine and William Fowler had told her. Detective Barnes discovered during her investigation that Keisha, Everett's sister, was in Everett's vehicle when he shot Ernest Smith. After speaking with Keisha, Detective Barnes obtained further information that corroborated the accounts of the other witnesses. In the end, this story is full of tragedy, suspicion, and unanswered questions. While Emma Smith Raine has only been convicted of one murder, the circumstances surrounding the deaths of her husbands raise many eyebrows. It's a reminder that real life can sometimes be stranger and darker than fiction.